expects that the employees, they value diversity, they also are good at communication, they respect each other, and the HR head takes care of the conflicts. The conflict resolution part has to be handled by the HR leader. At the same time, the HR professionals or the HR leaders, they have to focus upon the individual development. They have to be good at managing change in the organization, which is a very important part for an HR professional. And in fact, those who go for HR specialization, they have to study this as a separate paper, leadership skills and change management, because bringing about change in the organization is such a challenging task. And you have to study it as a separate paper, which says leadership skills and change management. And at the same time, the HR leader has to act as a coach. Now, the HR leader is expected to be risk-taking, taking calculated risks, bring about innovations in the system, be ethical in the practice, take the right kind of decision, and create an environment of trust and authenticity. So here we see that how the role of HR is evolving, and the HR leader has to play these various roles. In the beginning of the career, you can be good at one of these domains. That means you may be good at the functional part, or you may be good at the employee advocate part. But as you increase in your experience, as you cross the career ladder, you move up the career ladder, you have to be well equipped with the role of a strategic partner and the human capital developer also. Now, when we are talking about proficiency, and when we are talking about the qualities which are required for human resource management, we have to be clear about certain things, that the human resource leader has to be a good strategist. The rule 1 says that he has to be a good strategist, because in today's world, the HR is also responsible for shaping the future. That means moving from the present state, the current state, to a desired state. So for that, the HR managers, the HR professionals, they should have a proper understanding of the vision and mission of the organization, the goals and objectives of the organization, and they should be able to lead the organization from the present state to the desired future state. Then secondly, the executor part. That means the action plan for achieving those strategies. The action plan for achieving those strategies have to be laid down, and the human resource professional and the leader has to focus upon even delegation of tasks, how the task is going to be accomplished in a collaborative manner throughout the organization, so that whatever strategies are laid down, they are executed in the best possible manner. The performance of the employees is optimum, and at the same time, he's taking care of the needs of the employees. Then he has to act as a talent manager also, and he has to engage the talent. He has to, first of all, hire the right kind of talented people. He has to then also focus upon the talent management and talent engagement part, so that the high potential employees, not only their potential is harnessed, but their unharnessed potential is also utilized for the benefit of the organization, and how the skilled employees are retained in the organization. So that is why he has to play the role of a talent manager also. And then he has to focus upon the development of the human beings. As I said earlier, that means he has to build upon the next generation leaders. So an HR leader, he not only focuses upon his own development, but he also develops his employees. He develops the next generation leaders also. And that is why he first needs to imbibe those skills within himself. So as you can see, the rule 5 says personal proficiency. That means he has to invest in himself. He has to think about his own development, continuously enhance his own skills, learn from challenges, take opportunities, and also learn from his mistakes. focus upon development of his own leadership skills. So the personal proficiency lies in the center. That means everything will be possible when the HR leader is focused upon his own self-development. This is very important because actually you cannot handle all these aspects until and unless you yourself are well equipped to handle a leadership position in the organization. So that is why for human resource leadership, you need to be aware of a variety of aspects, and some of them we are going to take in the session today and tomorrow. So the human resource leader, is about what? Focused upon what? The empowering of the people, inspiring the people, sharing vision, leading change. So leadership is not about your individual growth. It is about how you are sharing the vision throughout the organization, how you're inspiring the people and empowering the people at the same time, leading the change. Change management, as I said, is an important part of human resource management. Now, effective leadership behaviors are critical for effective leadership. Now, leadership behaviors which are so important for enhancing the commitment level of employees, for engagement level of employees, for also improving their attitudes. You know, when you are working as a leader, you are focused upon what? Building the commitment of the employees, enhancing their engagement level. That means the involvement, the loyalty, the kind of dedication through which they contribute to the organization. Everything needs to be taken care of, because if these things are not really focused upon, it is going to result into what? High turnover rate in the organization and decreased performance. So we need to focus upon these aspects if we really want to decrease the turnover rate. That means the rate at which the employees leave the organization, and increased performance in the organization. So the performance of the organization is dependent upon the performance of the employees, and for enhancing the performance of the employees, the HR leader has to be an effective leader. Now, at every level, leadership skills are required. It's not that leadership skills are required only at the higher level. Even when the early career professionals, they have to behave in ways which are consistent with the organization culture. They have to foster collaboration in the organization. And at the same time, they have to introduce some innovative ideas in the organization which make them what? The star employees of the organization. So they have to lead from the front right from the beginning. At the senior level, of course, they have to develop strategies to implement the HR initiatives and support the organizational initiatives. So at the higher level, at the mid and senior level, you can focus upon the HR initiatives. At the same time, you have to lay down the strategies of the organization. Now, as I said, it is important for a leader to create the right kind of work culture in the organization. And as I said, creating the right kind of learning culture, that is a big responsibility in the hands of HR professionals. So how do you create a learning organization, and what exactly is a learning organization? So in fact, this term was coined by Peter SENGE, and he said that learning organizations are what? Where the people continually expand their capacity to create the results. That means focusing upon what? Organizational performance, where the people are continuously focused upon improvement, their self-improvement, as well as the improvement of the systems and processes of the organization. And why? To enhance the performance of the employees and enhance the performance of the organization, and to create the results. And where the thinking patterns have scope for new ideas and innovations, and where collective aspiration is set free, and where the people are continually learning to learn together. So two things are very important here. One is focus on results. Another thing is continuous learning, having such kind of culture in the organization where the systems are continuously updated, the processes are updated, the employees are updated, and everything is going on in a collective and collaborative manner. So they have to really learn together. So the right kind of environment would be where there is scope for experimentation, where there is scope for innovativeness, where there is scope for creativity in the organization, and all this is carried on through a shared vision in the organization and through a collaborative manner. Now, when we talk about a learning organization, according to Pedler, a learning company is an organization that facilitates the learning of all its members and continually transforms itself. So, again, there are two things. We are talking about the learning of the members of the organization, and we are talking of the company itself. The organization itself, the company needs to transform itself according to the changes in the environment, according to the expectations of the customers, according to the innovations in the technology, according to the demands in the market, according to the change in the economic environment. We have to update our systems, and that is possible only when our employees are focused upon continuous learning and we have that kind of learning culture in the organization. Now, if we take the example of Apple, Apple is a learning organization. Why do we call it a learning organization? We are all aware of the products of Apple and the kind of innovativeness which Apple has exercised, which has made it a market leader. So here, how Apple developed as a market leader and what kind of culture it is having, which has made it a learning organization. It is focused upon developing knowledge workers, developing knowledge-based products and services. We know about the Apple products. We know about the iPod. We know about the iPhones. We know about the iPads. How this innovation has come in Apple. It is because Apple has focused upon building upon a learning culture in the organization. It has focused upon maximizing enterprise intellectual capital. And importantly, it has used the transformation of knowledge to increase shareholders' value. So you see how Apple is linking its learning systems directly to the maximization of shareholders' value. So whatever innovation has been brought about in Apple is due to the versatility in thinking, the innovativeness in the minds of the management and the HR people and the overall systems in the organization. They also encourage innovativeness, experimentation, and that is why Apple is a market leader. So why is Apple a learning organization? It was under the leadership of Steve Jobs that his vision was to change the world with the innovativeness. And the Apple culture, it boasts of intelligence and imagination. That means the employees, they are encouraged to put in creative ideas, to put in their imagination. And there is tolerance for experimentation, and there is scope for exercising creative ideas. So that is why we can say that it is a flexible and adaptive organization. It is ready to adapt according to the situation, and it continuously updates its products and its systems according to the needs of the customers. And because of the kind of environment, the kind of learning environment and the scope for experimentation, respect for creativity in the organization, it is the employee's choice, and it is one of the best places to work for the employees. So the Apple's learning cycle, it starts with reflect. That means they first try to understand that what are the needs of the customers and how they can really be better than the competitors. What is the need of the market? How can they be different from the others? And based upon all this, which is of course based upon proper data, proper surveys, proper understanding of the environment, based upon all this, then they plan what new products they want to launch, what are the new features in the products which they really want to introduce, and then they implement this. So this is Apple's learning cycle. And let me add that Apple is focusing upon the 5 disciplines which were introduced by Peter Senge. He has written this book, The 5th Discipline, which is about the learning organizations. And in fact, Peter Senge was the person who first of all coined this term of learning organization. So he has authored this book, 5th Discipline, which is called, and he has talked about these 5 aspects of a learning organization, and Apple is focusing upon all these 5 aspects, which is the systems thinking, personal mastery, mental models, building shared vision, and team learning. So what exactly is meant by this? So systems thinking means what? That a holistic view of the organization has to be really understood, because the organization is composed of various subsystems, but we should not focus upon individual subsystems and alienate them from the holistic system. Each system has an impact upon the entire organization. So that is why we have to consider the organization as a whole system, and we have to develop a holistic view. So whether it relates to the people, or it relates to the rules and structures, or whether it relates to the processes of the organization, we have to understand the impact of everything, of all the issues on the entire organization. So what is required? A holistic thinking is required if we really want to create a learning organization. Then what is required, according to Peter Senge, is personal mastery. That means the employees of the organization have to focus upon personal mastery, because we cannot really talk about improving organizational performance unless and until each individual is focused upon personal mastery. So each individual should focus upon self-development, should have a personal vision, which of course he should align with the shared vision of the organization. But if a person has no vision at all, he cannot share anything with the organization. So he needs to build up his own vision. He needs to focus upon his development. He should have a sense of purpose, and then holding creative tension. So we say that it is not good to have tension, but it is always good to have creative tension. That means, creative tension means what? That you want to add on something new to the organization. You want to give innovative ideas, and you can see the gap from where you are and where you want to be. So that kind of tension which stimulates you to go to your higher self, to add on something new and creative to the organization, that is creative tension. So holding creative tension is a must if we really want to grow. So it's not that tension is always bad. Sometimes if we have creative tension, that would rather help us in our growth and really help in the development. Then mental models. So Peter Senge has also talked about mental models, and Apple is actually following this, as I told you. That means you need to develop a picture of where you want to be. You need to develop a mindset, because everything goes through our thought process. First of all, we need clarity in our mind, and our actions are focused upon where our thoughts take us. So first of all, we have to build a kind of mental model, which are the principles of foundation, and we should see the big picture through those mental models, and we have to adapt to the new concepts. And if we really want to be faster than our competitors, then we have to first of all do some brainstorming, make our thought process so sound that we are able to adapt to the new concept and come out as victorious and better than our competitors. That means we have to mentally, we have to create that picture, and then only we can create a roadmap for the action plan for attaining our goals and objectives. Then building shared vision. That means what? As I said, from the starting itself, we are talking about working in a collaborative manner. The vision has to be a shared one. That means all the members of the organization should participate in building the vision of the organization. And for that purpose, we have to co-create. We have to co-create the vision through telling, selling, testing, and consulting. That means what? First of all, the vision needs to be communicated. The head of the organization needs to communicate the vision. And he has to convince the other members about selling. Means what? How do you sell? It's not a product, but still you are selling. That means you are talking about the benefits and what the employees are going to derive out of that vision. So you have to convince them about the positive aspects of that vision and how they can also look for their career growth when the organization achieves its vision or mission. Then some kind of testing of the vision may be done, and a lot of brainstorming and experimentation with regard to the action plans for attaining the vision and mission of the organization. Again, the consultation part is very important because we are talking about a shared vision. So the shared part is very important, and then co-creating the entire process will result into co-creating of the vision of the organization. So building a shared vision goes a long way in creating a learning organization. Then team learning, that means the brilliant and talented people of the organization, they should be a part of the entire learning process, and there should be continuous dialogue and discussion, because not only you learn through training and development programs or through your superiors, we also learn through each other. So the team learning has to be fostered, that kind of culture, because today's workers are knowledge workers and we can learn from each other also. So fostering that kind of environment where the employees learn from each other also, they learn from the seniors also, they learn from the peers also. And they also focus upon enhancement of the team's capacity to perform. Because in today's world, a lot of work is done through cross-functional teams, through project teams, through self-managed teams. So we have to focus upon team learning also, because this concept is very important and functional in the contemporary scenario. So when we talk about, or we try to understand the results of the learning organization culture of Apple, so we can see if we evaluate Apple's learning organization, it was able to defeat its main competitor, that is IBM. The kind of products which we are all aware of and we are using, how user-friendly they are, the great relationships which they have been able to build up with the customers, and the good leadership and management and the quality control and management. So you can see the results because of their focus upon being a learning organization. Apple is what it is today. So it is focusing upon all these various aspects, and that is why we can say that if an organization really wants to strive ahead in the competition, it has to continuously create kind of learning culture in the organization. And talking about Steve Jobs, we are all aware of Steve Jobs and how he led Apple to the path of success. He learned from every single mistake. So that is again very important. Rather than being disheartened with a mistake and failure, it is important that we learn from that, from every mistake. So that is the kind of approach which Steve Jobs had, and he transformed Apple into a learning organization. And then you focused upon not reinventing the wheel. That means something which is already existing, there's no point in reinventing that same things, the same kind of product. So he clearly understood the phrase that not reinventing the wheel. And that is the reason that Apple every time comes up with innovative products. So we can see that how Apple, being a learning organization, is a market leader, and how it is striving ahead continuously and bring about innovation in its products and services. So how exactly, so these are the various aspects. Now, what are the best practices if we talk about, if we want to create a learning organization, what can be the best practices at all these five aspects which we have discussed? So if we talk about personal mastery or individual aspect, or the self mastery, the associated best practices can be sharing experiences, more interaction between the supervisory level, and emphasis upon feedback. Now, this is very important. That means unless, if we really want to improve, then we have to really take feedback and at the same time try to implement the improvements or suggestions which are given for our improvement. So the positive byproducts result into greater commitment and result in the enhancement of the ability to deal with change. So the ability to face the limitation is also enhanced. You can make better use of the opportunities. You can make better use of the strengths. And at the same time, you can take steps to overcome the weaknesses. Then focusing upon the mental models. So if you really focus upon the mental models, it is going to enhance flexibility. The best practices is that you can be more flexible in your approach, and the organization should be adaptive to the changes in the environment rather than following a rigid approach. We have to go as per the demands of the environment, the changes in the market conditions, the tastes of the customers, the expectations of the employees, the rate of change of the technology, and the political environment, the economic environment of the country. So for that, we have to take out time for learning. So the mental models part is very important. And the byproduct will be that there will be lesser avoidance of difficult situations. That means if you are all geared to give time to learning, then you can avoid, I mean, you would not avoid the difficult situations, and you would rather confront the difficult situations. Now, then, as I said, the shared vision of the group. This is again important, because if you really want to create an environment of learning, you need to focus upon what? The best practices would be empathy, trust, cooperation, and creating a common language for the organization. So the faster, the byproduct would be that the change would be smooth in the organization, and the communication flow would be really effective, because naturally, if you are sharing everything with the group, the group is more of a cohesive work unit, and the communication part is more effective. Then team learning. That means consensus building is again very important. Because, as I said, in today's world, most of the work is done through teams. So both kind of communication, the top down and the bottom up communication, everything is important. It's not just the one-way communication in forms of orders and instructions. It is also the bottoms up communication in form of suggestions, feedback, and concerns and innovative ideas. So both kind of communication, two-way communication system is very important for fostering a learning culture in the organization. And systems thinking. So as I said, having a holistic view of the organization. Now, if you have a holistic view of the organization, then you have to, the byproducts are, it is going to result into long-term improvement, decreased organizational conflicts, and continuous learning among the group members. So that means if you really want to develop a learning organization, these are the 5 aspects which you really need to focus upon. And we've already seen how Apple has used this concept, and it has worked upon all these aspects in order to become a market leader. So now, how do you lead a learning organization? The leader has to act as a designer. That means it is the primary responsibility of the leader to integrate and operate SENGE 5 management disciplines, which we have understood right now. So it is the primary responsibility of the leader to integrate and operate these 5 management disciplines. And at the same time, he has to focus upon the vision and mission of the organization. He has to build up the core values of the organization and create the right kind of culture in the organization, which has, as I said, tolerance for mistakes, scope for experimentation, scope for creativity, and he has to design the learning processes in the organization. The leader also has to act as a teacher. He has to act as a coach. He has to act as a teacher. And he has to help the individuals to be aware of their mental models. Now he has to take a higher position in form of what? A teacher, as a coach. He has to make people understand their mental models and also challenge their view of reality, because people have their own comfort zones. They do not want to come out of it. So as a teacher, he has to challenge their view of reality and help them see the big picture, why they need to learn, why it is important if they really want to grow, why innovation is important. So besides being a designer, besides being the creator of the core values, the vision, the mission of the organization, he also has to act as a teacher for the employees. And then he has to carry them forward. He has to act as a steward. That means he has to exercise stewardship for the purpose and the core values of the organization. And he's a steward. He's a safeguarder. He is a kind of a person who is a guardian for the people. He is a guardian for the mission of the enterprise. So if we really want that the learning organization concept has to be imbibed in the culture of the organization, the lead has to be taken. First of all, it has to be understood that how a learning organization works, what kind of culture we can create, what are the various aspects, and what is the role of a leader. What role the leader plays, that is very important when creating the right kind of learning organization. And as I said, in today's world, if the organizations really want to sustain and they want to attain a competitive edge in the market, then they have to continuously focus upon learning. Now, let us have a look about how we can optimize organizational performance through employee training and development. So now, why we are talking of employee training and development? Because, as I said earlier also, the performance of the organization depends upon the performance of its employees. But when we talk about the performance of the organization, simply if we lay down high performance standards and ask the employees to accomplish them without focusing upon their skill development and their knowledge enhancement, the organization will really not be able to attain those performance standards. Now, why are we talking of organizational performance? Because of the kind of competition in the market. If we really want to deliver high products, high quality products and services, then we need to focus upon organizational performance. But as I said, that merely setting high performance standards for the employees is not going to work in today's world. And the organization really has to focus upon employee training and development if it wants to optimize the organizational performance. So according to the LinkedIn 2020 Workplace Learning Report, what are the top 3 challenges for global talent developers? So this is what the LinkedIn report says, that the global talent developers, what are the top 3 challenges for them? Getting managers to make learning a priority. 49% of the global talent developers feel that this is a big challenge, that learning has to be made a priority for the managers and they need to understand this. Creating a learning culture is another challenge, because the organizations want to move ahead in the competition, but unless and until they have that kind of learning culture, it is not possible. So creating a learning culture is another big challenge for the global talent developers, and increasing employee engagement in learning. The employees need to understand that continuous learning is a must if they really want to go ahead in their career and if they want to make a positive contribution to the organization, and also if they want to attain career growth in the organization. So they have to be engaged. So how to increase the employee engagement? That is another challenge with the global talent developers are facing. Now, if we talk about the benefits of training and development, then it is essential. If you really want to build a highly skilled workforce, then training and development is really important because, as I said, an organization is what? A composition of human resources who are responsible for utilization of other resources of the organization, whether the employees are working at the top level or the middle level or the lower level. They have their own training and learning needs. Of course, they may differ according to the level. The senior management may have different training needs. Those working at the middle level, they may have their own training needs, and those working at the lower level, they may have their own training needs, but it is required at each and every level. And when we are talking of training, we are not merely talking of technical skills. We are talking of various other skills in form of leadership skills, decision-making skills, communication skills, soft skills, problem-solving skills, analytical ability. So in fact, as we move up higher in the ladder, it is these skills which are required more. So building a highly skilled workforce, if we really want to build a highly skilled workforce, then training and development is a must. And if we want to attain the synergistic benefits of teamwork, so again, team learning, it has been actually proved by research studies that organizations which have a team culture or which really work through some kind of teams in the organization and which have an environment of collaboration in the organization, they move ahead as compared to the organizations which do not foster collaboration and teamwork. So for attaining the synergistic benefits of teamwork, again, it is essential to go for training and development. Then if we talk about organizational commitment and employee retention, naturally the employees would like to have a long-term career with the organization which is investing in their development. And according to the LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report of 2019, 94% of the employees said that they would continue longer in the organization which invests in their development. So 94% of the employees, according to LinkedIn Learning Report, feel that they would definitely like to continue with the organization which invests in their development and in their learning, in creating a learning culture. So if we really want to create a learning culture, then we have to support it with training and development programs. And finally, if we really want to, in today's world, if we want to increase the market share and profitability, as I said, setting high performance standards is not enough. You have to upskill your employees. You have to reskill your employees. If you really want to increase the organizational performance and if you really want to increase the market share and profitability. So all kinds of organization, whatever sector they are, whether they are banking, whether they are FMCG, whether they belong to the ITS sector, whether they belong to the education industry, whether they belong to the textile industry, whether it is pharmaceutical, hospitality, or any zinc or any cement industry, all kinds of organizations, they need to focus upon training and development if they want to enhance their market share and profitability. Now, why the managers are recommending learning for their employees, and this is as per the LinkedIn 2020 Workplace Learning Report. 54% of the managers feel that it is essential for the employees to learn and develop if they really want to grow in their career. So as I said, career advancement, if the employees really want career advancement, then they really need to upskill themselves and reskill themselves. And if they want to get better in their current role, even if they are performing in their current role and they want to perform better, then they have to go for training and development. If they want to learn new skill, if they want to solve a problem, or there may be other aspects which relate to maybe enhancing the qualifications for getting a promotion, whatever. Learning is recommended by managers. If the employees want to move ahead, if the organization want to move ahead, then they have to really focus upon their training and development. So now, as I said, as you move up on the career ladder, the kind of training programs they may differ, because you may be more focused upon enhancing your leadership skills. You may be more focused upon enhancing your soft skills, your decision making ability, problem solving ability. So according to LinkedIn learning data, managers spend 30% more time learning soft skills than the average learner. So it is the soft skills which are required more at the higher level, because you have to deal with people, you have to get things done. And we say management is the art of getting things done through others. But how to get things done? That is a big thing. And for that, you need to possess soft skills. So the managers, they are spending 30% more time on learning soft skills. So we cannot underestimate the importance of these skills besides the technical skills. And the highest priority skills, as you can see, as per LinkedIn report, are leadership and management. And 57% of the L&D professionals are focused upon developing these skills, leadership and management. 42% are focused upon developing creative problem solving and design thinking. And 40% are focused on developing communication skills. So what this indicates that besides technical skills, there are a number of skills which can be groomed, which can be improved through training and development. Then the top strategic areas. What are the top strategic areas globally? So in fact, when we are talking about learning and development, we are not only talking about how to train the employees, but we also have to measure the impact of learning. That means evaluating the impact of learning. That is very important. So that is the one of the top strategic area globally. That means whether the learning is useful or not, and if it is not, how to improve it, how to modify it, whether the training has given the desired results or not, it has resulted into the laid down outcomes or not. Increasing learner engagement, that is again top focus area globally. And enabling self-directed learning with online learning solutions. So now in today's world, especially with the COVID-19, online learning solutions will become all the more important. This is as per the workplace report given by LinkedIn in 2020. So that was at the beginning of the year. Now with COVID-19 coming in, the online learning solutions are being used, and their use is going to increase all the more. So we can just have a look on the kind of learning environment which Google is having. And Google is focusing upon the training and development of the employees, but at the same time, it is creating a culture of continuous learning in the organization. So it is focusing upon information two ways. That means if some innovation has to be brought about in the company, as I said, it has to be a two-way communication system. So not only the top-down communication, but the bottom-up communication is important in Google, so that new ideas, innovative suggestions, and concerns of the employees can be shared. At the same time, it is taking care of certain things. Now, for example, if an employee is working on the computer at his desktop, the training application or the learning application is enabled on his computer, so that because he can easily access the computer. And another person who is maybe focusing upon the sales part. So for him, to make the learning solution easily applicable, it is on his mobile, maybe information about the product or information about the service, because he's dealing with clients or he's in the store. So wherever the employee is, they are trying to make the learning solutions available. And at the same time, archives have been created, so employees can access them as and when according to their needs. So this is the kind of continuous learning environment which Google is creating. And as I said, sharing, we are talking about shared vision. So they have this culture, sharing is caring and learning. So that means besides the formal training programs which they are having, the coaching part and the support learning tools which they're having, they have a culture of sharing the knowledge. The knowledge is shared vertically, horizontally, laterally, so that the learning is done in a collaborative manner. It is more of a mutual learning process. So even the employees, they take care of each other, and they also foster each other's learning. A very important thing, celebrate failure. So they have scope for experimentation. What does this show? That they have enough scope for experimentation. And even if, it's not necessary that all experiments are going to be successful, but it is important that you learn from your failures and you move ahead. And if you really want to build up some innovative ideas, you have to take the risk, and you have to be ready for the failure, and you have to learn from that failure and move ahead. Because if you don't experiment at all, you will remain where you are. So in fact, they celebrate failure because they take it as a learning opportunity. And formalizing informal learning. So as I said, they have that kind of informal learning environment in the organization. It fosters continuous learning, and together with that, they have formal training programs in the organization. So this should give you an idea that how we can focus upon employee training and development, and how we can really create a learning culture in the organization. So this presents an entire picture of the training and development process in the organization. First of all, we need to conduct a needs analysis. That means the organizational analysis. When we talk of TNA, actually it is called TNA, training needs analysis. So we have to focus upon three aspects. That is organizational analysis, task analysis, and person analysis. Why does the organization need training? What are the strategic objectives of the organization? What is the mission and vision of the organization? And why do we really need to introduce some kind of training and development program in the organization? Then we have to do the task analysis. Where is the skill gap as far as the completion of the particular job profile is concerned? And we also have to focus upon what? Person analysis. That means we have to focus upon that where the employees are lacking in their skills and where it is not meeting the requirements of the job. So the task analysis, person analysis, and the organizational analysis all needs to be done. Now, if we take the example of Taj Luxury Group of Hotels, they are continuously focusing upon training and development of the employees. Being in the hospitality sector, it has become very important that they focus upon the development of the employees. And for this purpose, they are doing proper TNA. So they have this kind of system, GSTS, that is guest satisfaction tracking system. They try to take the level of understand the level of satisfaction of the guests. Where the guests are not satisfied, those areas become the training areas for the employees. They also have the employee satisfaction tracking system, which they call ESTS. And where the employees feel that they need training, or where there is lack of satisfaction of the employees, they try to give training to the employees. So besides, they have the PMS reviews, that is the performance management system reviews, whereby where there is a skill gap between in the performance of the employees, they focus upon that. Then once we do the training needs analysis, then we have to design the training programs, and we have to lay down the training methods, which can be off the job training methods, which can be on the job training methods. There are a number of on the job and off the job training methods. Like if we talk of on the job, it can be job rotation, it can be apprenticeship training, it can be coaching. And if we talk of our off the job, then it can be say simulation, case studies, lectures, role plays, and a number of other things. So when we really go for employee training and development, we really need to focus upon the needs. According to the needs, we will decide that what kind of training and development we need to give to the employees. Now, if we look at, take the example of Taj Luxury Group of Hotels, they are having a combination of on-the-job and off-the-job methods. So besides on-the-job training methods, they have lectures, role plays, simulations, mentoring systems, plus they have this kind of buddy system for the new hires. So for the new hires, they have to make them comfortable with the work culture of the organization and make them acquainted with the systems and practices of the organization. They have introduced this buddy system. For the higher level management, they have the Tata Management Strategic Leadership Program. And for the middle level, they have tie-ups with IIM Bangalore, and they have this Tata Management Training Center, whereby they send the employees. For the entry level, they have the Tata Management Training Program. So that means according to the levels, they have designed their training programs. Now, if we talk about the evaluation criteria, how will you evaluate whether your training and development has been effective or not? So after introducing and carrying out and executing the training programs, you have to check the reaction of the employees. That means whether they like the program or not, whether it really added on to their knowledge, whether it has been, there has been some knowledge gaining or not, and whether it has really brought about a change in their behavior and performance or not, and whether the organization has derived any benefit in terms of improved performance of the organization, reduced accidents or safety provisions have been followed properly, or there's lesser turnover, the profitability has increased. So what are the results? And then at the same time, the training validity, that means how far the training has been valid, whether transfer validity means what, whether the training was transferred to the job or not, whatever is learned has been applied to the job or not. So whether whatever is knowledge is gained or whatever skills are enhanced in the training and development program, whether it has been applied to the job or not, whether within the organization there is ample scope for implementing whatever learning has taken place during the training and development program, and whether the training and development programs are capable of being benchmarked to the best in the organization. So the inter-organizational validity is also very important. So that means you have to match or benchmark your training and development programs to the best in the market. So this is the entire picture of how we design the training and development programs in the organization. We start with training needs assessment, lay down the methods based upon the training needs assessment, and also depending on the resources of the organization. Once this is done, you have to evaluate the training programs and also check the validity part of the training and development. So if we have a look at the training and development at Siemens. So at Siemens, you see they are, Siemens, of course, it is a well-known name, and we are all aware that this is a multinational company. So they are providing on-the-job and off-the-job training, both. For on the job, they are going for shadowing, mentoring, coaching, and job rotation. Shadowing means what? That a junior employee, he works under a senior employee, and he through kind of shadows a senior employee, and through observation he learns how to perform his particular role. And they're also going for off the job this training through courses, presentations, enhancement of the qualifications of the employees. They're having a number of training and development programs. So as I said, what is important, as we saw that in the LinkedIn learning, well, this is the top strategic concern, that evaluating the impact of training. So how do you actually evaluate the impact of training, whether the training is successful or not? You check the reaction. That means, did the trainees really like the program, and whether they found the course to be useful, what improvements can they suggest, whether how can you do that? Through questionnaires, and to what extent they have learned and it has added on to their knowledge and values. This can be checked through written tests, tasks, etc., which are given to the employees. And then the behavior part, that means, are the trainees behaving differently on the job after training? Has there been some change in their behavior and performance? This can be checked through feedback from superiors, through clients and subordinates, or from performance appraisal results. And as I said, whether it has benefited the organization or not. So whether the accidents have been reduced, whether the quality has been improved, whether the productivity is enhanced, whether the turnover rate of employees has reduced, whether the morale of the employees has increased, whether the costs have decreased, and whether the profits have enhanced. So you can really link your training programs directly to the results part also. And this is really important if you want to focus upon having the right kind of training programs which are geared towards enhancement of the organizational performance. So up till now, we have talked about two aspects. One is how to create a learning organization, and then secondly, how to design the training and development programs for the organization, and also how to evaluate the training programs so that we have the right kind of training programs which cater to the needs of the employees and to the organization. Now, we will focus upon becoming a level 5 leader. Now, if we really want to be successful in any profession, and especially in HR profession, as I said, we need to possess leadership skills. Even if we are focusing upon the highest level, if you want to be the CEOs of the organization, we need to possess leadership skills. So now we are going to focus upon that what actually is a level 5 leader and how it has been evolved, and what exactly can you do to become a level 5 leader. So according to Harry S. Truman, who was the president of US, you can accomplish anything in life provided you do not mind who gets the credit. This is a big thing. I mean, everybody wants credit for whatever they do, but level 5 leadership indicates at something which is different, which is higher than we normally understand about leadership. So, in fact, now leadership can take a company from good to great. Now, this is based upon a research which was conducted by Jim Collins on 1,435 companies. Now, out of these 1,435 companies, he found on the basis of his research that only 11 companies were the great companies. And what was the basis of this classification of great companies was the stock market performance. That means he considered their performance in the last 15 years, and where their stock market performance exceeded 3 times the market, those companies he classified as great companies of the world. And then he tried to understand that what is it that has made these companies great. So these were the good to great companies. These are the 11 companies I'm talking about, and see how the stock market exceeded more than 3 times the market. And as I said, this research was conducted for their performance over the last 15 years. So these were the 11 great companies: the Abbott, Circuit City, Fannie Mae, Gillette, Kimberly-Clark, Nucor, Philip Morris, Pitney Bowes, Walgreens, and Wells Fargo. So then he tried to analyze that what exactly made these companies great. And he found that it was basically the qualities of the leader which really helps to make these companies great. Now, from there, this concept of level 5 leadership has been evolved. So Jim Collins has given certain levels in his research. He says that at level 1, a person is a highly capable individual, and he is good at making individual contributions through his own talent, knowledge, skills, and good work habits. When he moves up the level, he becomes a contributing team member, and he makes a good contribution. He contributes individual capabilities for the achievement of group objectives, and he is an effective team member. He works effectively in a team. And when he further moves up, this is the level 3, he becomes a competent manager. That means he organizes people and resources, he delegates tasks, he sees to the proper execution of the tasks and allocation of resources. At level 4, it is the effective leader, whereby he works towards with full commitment and a compelling vision. He stimulates high performance standards. But then this is what we are going to talk about is level 5, which is the optimum and the highest level of leadership. So here the level 5 leader, he builds enduring greatness through a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. So this we are talking based upon the research which Jim Collins conducted, and he found that 2 great qualities which the CEOs of these 11 companies were having were, one was the fierce professional will, and the second one was personal humility. These leaders had an unwavering resolve, and they had a fire and passion for accomplishment of their goals. And they did not compromise with the attainment of organizational goals and objectives. So that is why they had a passion and a fierce professional will. But this was accompanied by a unique thing, and that was personal humility. That means in spite of the fact that they were good performers, they were great leaders, they were leading the great companies of the world. They were never egoistic. They were always humble. In fact, whenever there was any failure, they used to take the blame upon themselves. And whenever that means they used to look in the mirror. In case of failures, they used to look in the mirror. And in case of success, they used to give the credit to their team members. So it was a unique blend of fierce professional will plus personal humility, which made them great and which were responsible for the extraordinary leadership skills which they were having, which led their companies to be the great companies of the world. Now, becoming a level 5 leader. So now that means how to build up. In fact, Jim Collins has written this book, Good to Great. And in this, he has given how you can become a level 5 leader. So basically it is disciplined people, disciplined thought, and disciplined action. So when we talk of disciplined people, it is first who, then what. We're going to discuss this. Then confront the brutal facts. Then there's the hedgehog concept. The culture of discipline has to be there in the organization, and the technology accelerator, how it has to be used, that has to be clearly understood. So if we compare the level 5 and the level 4 leader, what is the difference between the two? Now, the level 5 leader first sees who, and the level 4 leader sees what. That means the level 4 leader is first focused upon the vision of the organization. He sets a vision for where to drive the bus and develop a roadmap for driving the bus. And then he decides that who are going to be the people who are going to help him in achieving that vision. So first what and then who. As far as the level 5 leader is concerned, it is first who and then what. That means get the right people on the bus and build a superior executive team. So that means first of all, he focuses upon that who is going to be his team member. Having the right people in the bus is the first thing which a level 5 leader would do. And then with the shared vision, he develops the best path to greatness. So first who and then what. This is the style of a level 5 leader. So he focuses upon having the right people in the organization, and then in a collaborative manner, the vision is laid down. So you can see this difference in the style. Here the level 4 leader focuses upon first what and then who, and the level 5 leader focuses upon first who and then what. Then confront the brutal facts. That means you have to be ready for arguments, and difference of opinion needs to be respected. Red flags need to be used wherever possible, and you need to question, and definitely you have to do some introspection, and you have to come out of the comfort zone, and you have to question the status quo. And learning from mistakes, that is again going to be very important if you really want to follow this kind of leadership of level 5 leadership, which is called. Then the hedgehog concept. That means somewhere or the other, you have to focus upon these 3 aspects. Now the hedgehog concept means what? That you have to analyze upon the big picture, something which you can do, which is really great, and which is, you have to transfer your attention from small things and small wins to the bigger wins. So that is the hedgehog concept about. So you have, this is the common area. That means the organization has to chalk out what it is passionate about, profitability, the economic denominator part, and where it can be the best in the world. So where there is an intersection of these 3 circles, there lies the area of business of the company. So the hedgehog concept says that this is the area where you need to focus upon. Both all the 3 things are important. What the organization is passionate about, profitability, and where you have your skills and talents, where you can be unique and best in the world. Then discipline versus freedom. So it is both. That means discipline also has to be there. At the same time, there has to be scope for entrepreneurship and creativity. So the thought has to be disciplined, the actions have to be disciplined. At the same time, there has to be scope for innovativeness, there has to be scope for calculated risk taking, and there has to be scope for new ideas in the organization. Then adopting technology. So adopting technology has to be in conformity with the hedgehog concept. That means you have to adopt technology, no doubt, but it has to be used as an accelerator for momentum. First of all, you have to decide that what is your hedgehog, what is your area where you need to focus upon, and according to that, you have to introduce the right kind of technology which is going to accelerate the momentum in the organization. So adopting technology, again, how you really need to adopt it, that has to be decided in a proper manner. Now, talking about leadership, a leader needs to possess the ability to manage organizational change, because if we do not change, we are going to become obsolete, and we are going to lose the market share, and the competitors are going to strive ahead. So change is a part of life. As I said, the environment is changing, and if we don't change according to the needs of the organization, of the environment, we are going to lag behind in the competition. But why we talk of change management? Because it is not easy to bring about change, because the first reaction of the employees is that they resist change, they oppose change, and that is why it becomes very challenging to bring about organizational change. So if we talk about management, it is about complexity, coping with complexity, but leadership is by contrast about coping with change. So if we really want to be a leader and not a simple manager, we have to be good at enhancing the change management skills and have the right kind of skills in order to foster change in the organization in a smooth manner. So what exactly is change management? So change management involves the process that ensures a business responds to the environment in which it operates. So as I said, there are so many changes taking place in the environment, and the various forces with it. May be change in the customer demand, it may be due to some competition in the market, it may be some change in the legislation, it may be change in the political scenario, it may be technological change. The present environment, which is change due to COVID-19. We can see a big change, and the HR policies have also changed. Now companies like TCS, Wipro, HCL, Cognizant, they have introduced work from home, and now they are suggesting that this should be made permanent. So see the change. That means these companies have acknowledged that the systems have to be changed, and according to that, they are reforming our policies also. So that means it may be any kind of change, and there may be some internal forces also which need reorganization to increase the efficiency, or there may be conflict between the departments, or there may be a desire to increase the profitability, due to which we need to bring about change in the organization. So talking about Levin's change model, now Kurt Levin, he has given a very popular model, and which is used by change consultants. So there are 3 steps to this model. It talks about unfreeze, change, and refreeze. That means what? First of all, you have to do away with the past systems, the past processes, the past thoughts, the prejudices, the old patterns. You have to do away with that. And this is called unfreeze. Once you do that, you have to move towards the change. That means you have to go for the transition. And then you have to reinforce the new systems, which he called refreeze. So first of all, you have to get rid of the old systems, then change, and then reinforce the new systems. So you have to, first of all, understand and determine what needs to be changed, ensure that there is a strong leadership support, create the need for change, and understand the doubts and the concerns of the people. And then you have to move towards the transition. That means you have to communicate, you have to support the people, you have to dispel the rumors, you have to empower action, and you have to involve the people in the processes. and then you have to reinforce and absorb change into the culture of the organization. You have to provide the necessary support systems, you have to provide the necessary training, and you have to celebrate successes as a result of the new system. So that means there's a particular process through which change can be brought about in the organization. So these are the key activities which you can focus upon. That means if you really want to create readiness for change, as I said, the first reaction is that people oppose change. Why? Because they are not, they don't want to come out of their comfort zones. They are somewhere or the other, having some kind of insecurity. And at the same time, they sometimes are hesitant to break their old habits. Sometimes they do not have the skill to adopt to the new systems. So these inhibitions can be removed through these activities. That means you can educate them, inform them, seek their views, and plan proper resources, and also organize and also appoint the change agents, the change managers, and accordingly, once you undertake these key activities, you have to prepare the mindset of people to be ready for change. Because if change is brought about abruptly without creating readiness for change, it is going to result into disaster. That is why change management is an important skill which today's managers and leaders need to possess. Once readiness to change has been created, then you can go for implementation. You can, first of all, you need to, if it involves some change in technology or requires some upskilling or reskilling, that needs to be taken care of. Because if the people are unaware of, they do not possess the skills of working with the new system, in that case, they will always resist change. So you need to provide for their training. You need to coach them. You need to empathize with them. You need to understand their points of view. You need to also help them and guide them and provide them adequate resources. So this will be the transition phase whereby the change is to be implemented, and then you have to refreeze. That means you have to make it stick so that the old, the organization does not revert back. So you have to set performance standards according to the change systems. You have to reward new behaviors. And at times when people are not adopting new behaviors or they do not want to change, at times you may have to impose sanctions also. And you have to continuously evaluate their performance. So this has to be done in a proper manner. And for this, you need to exercise proper leadership skills. So this is the force field analysis which has been given by Kurt Lewin. That means there are two kinds of forces operating. One are the driving forces, which foster or encourage movement towards the new or desired state. And then there are restraining forces, which force the movement towards the same status quo. So what we have to do when we are managing change, we have to increase the driving forces and we have to reduce the driving forces. So what the restraining and driving forces are, that will of course depend upon the situation of the organization, and it may vary from organization to organization. Now, the 5 activities which are contributing to effective change management, as I said, is motivating change. That means we have to create the readiness for change, create a vision for change. That means envision what is the current state and where the organization will be when it reaches the desired state. So that picture has to be shown to the employees to make them more acceptable to the change, make them more receptive to the change. Then you have to identify that who are the key stakeholders in the change process, and you have to develop and take their support. So that is called developing political support. Political here does not mean it is not related to politics. It is related to the key stakeholders who are affected by these changes. It may be the employees, it may be the clients, it may be the institutions, it may be the people who are dealing with the organization. So you have to develop a kind of political support for the key stakeholders in the organization, and you have to manage the transition state. That means you have to do the activity planning, and you have to also do the commitment planning. You have to lay down the action steps, and at the same time you have to go for the enhancing the commitment of the employees, and then you have to sustain the momentum. So that means you have to manage the resources accordingly. You have to continuously monitor the performance of the employees. You have to reinforce the systems. You have to reward the performance of the employees. So all this needs to be taken care of when you are managing the change effectively. So how, because as I said, the resistance to change is very important to be handled because it's a sensitive thing. So how do you actually handle the resistance to change? So it is through education and communication, educating the people about the benefits of the change, communicating to them the concerns of the management, and inviting ideas and suggestions from them. So it is a two-way communication process which needs to be taken care of. And participation and involvement, that can really help to overcome resistance, because the employees will feel that they are important for the organization and their viewpoints are also important. So participation and involvement of the employees themselves can be taken, their ideas can be invited, and then facilitation and support, giving them adequate resources for implementing the changes and training them in the new skills, so that nothing restrains them from adopting to the changes. Then sometimes you have to negotiate also. That means some people, if they are not ready to accept the change, you may at times negotiate with them that if they follow the new systems and procedures, and they are able to perform well in the new systems, you can probably give them a hike in their compensation part. So it can be, I mean, if the other ways are not really functioning, you can go in for negotiation. You can talk to the union leaders or the employee leaders, those who have a hold over the other employees, and negotiate the benefits of adopting the new systems and the processes. Sometimes you can go for manipulation and co-optation also. So practically, what you can do, sometimes there are some leaders in the organization who oppose the change, and the other employees, they follow them. So what if such a person who is having a hold over other employees, if he is offered a good position in the new systems, he would not only be himself convinced, but he would convince the other team members also and the employees in the organization. So whoever is opposing change at the most, giving him some position in that entire change process can also be a policy, and it can also result in overcoming resistance to change. And then of course coercion is always there, but it should be avoided, and it should be adopted only as the last resort. Coercion means what? Threat or punishing the employees if they do not adopt the new systems. So this is the last alternative. If all others options fail, then only this coercion should be used. But as I said, in today's world, it should be avoided, because today's workers are knowledge workers. It is better to make use of these aspects if you really want to overcome change. So I would like to end with the quote that without leadership, which is given by Peter Drucker, that without leadership, only three things happen naturally in the organization. What is this? Friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. So that means that if we really want to avoid friction, we really want that there should be no confusion in the organization, if we want that there should be no underperformance and employees should be able to perform to the best of their capacity, and the organization should also be able to perform, then in that case they should go for what? Change management, effective leadership skills, creating the right kind of organization culture, and having the right systems and procedures, which all depends upon leadership in the organization. So now I can see some questions in the chat box. One question is is there a need of empathetic leadership in human resource management? Yes, very true. Empathetic leader, that means looking at things from the other person's point of view. That is very, very important. So empathetic leadership, now where you give weightage and you try to understand, put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Of course, it is a must for an HR person, because what you're doing as an HR person, you are dealing with people. And if you really want that you should be able to effectively deal with people, then you need to develop empathetic leadership. So it is very important, and we are going to focus more upon it tomorrow when we talk about EQ and emotional quotient. We are going to focus more upon the empathy part also. So so somebody has, let me check some of the questions. What are the basic qualities needed in the organization for smooth functioning as per HR? So what are the basic? First of all, you need to be a high performer. You need to be a high performer, and you need to be good at working in a team. And then you need to be good at communication skills. You need to possess good interpersonal skills, and you need to be technically equipped. Technical knowledge is a must. Together with that, you should possess the ability to analyze the situation, interpersonal skills, ability to work in a team, and you have to be good at communication skills. You should be able to adapt to the culture of the organization. So these are some of the things which are necessary. So somebody's asked that how much scope is there for MBA in HR nowadays? So as I said, now people are working at very high positions in and we have talked about the careers in human resource management. You can be at the entry level, you can go to the highest level of chief people officer, chief human resource officer, then training and development manager, change management consultant, recruitment selection manager. And if you really search, you will find that people are working at really high positions in the field of human resource management. Somebody has asked then, leadership qualities and models which are suitable for academic leadership. So for academic leadership, what kind of leadership qualities are required? See, leadership, when we talk about leadership, we are talking of leadership in all the sectors. And when we talk of academic leadership, the leader himself has to not only act as a designer, he also has to act as a coach, as a teacher for the employees. And at the same time, he has to act as a steward for the employees. So he has to create the vision, but he should not forget the team culture. He should talk about the shared vision of the organization. He should take his team members along, and he should create the right kind of vision for the organization. He should go for the right kind of faculty development and training programs, because learning and development, I'm not talking only of the corporate sector, we are also talking of the academics, we are talking of the education sector also. So it is very important that we focus upon the faculty development part, creating the learning culture in the organization, and setting the right kind of coaching styles, the right kind of departmental collaboration within the academic institution. So now these things are very important when we are talking about leadership in academic institutions. See, is it possible to learn? Somebody has asked that, is it possible to learn leadership and build yourself as a leader? Yes, it is possible to build yourself as a leader, because if we go by the traditional theories which says that leaders are born, not created, now the thoughts have changed and leaders can be developed. And in fact, let me tell you, big companies like Infosys, Wipro, And GE, they have their own leadership development institutes. Jack Welch, who was the coach, who was the CEO, he was also the coach for his employees. He opened the Crotonville University, whereby he himself, he was the CEO of GE, and he himself used to undertake sessions for the employees and to develop the leadership skills of the employees. So definitely leadership skills in today's world can be developed in organizations are focusing upon development of the leadership skills of the employees. So gone are the days when it was said that leaders are only born and they cannot be created. Leaders can be created, and training is very important for developing leadership skills in the employees. So I'll take one or two more questions. I think it is time. So somebody has asked that what is the best method to evaluate the capacity of the employees in the organization? Now, Neha Seth has asked this question. Now, there are proper systems of performance appraisal and performance management. And there are technical systems. There is 360-degree feedback. There is BARS, that is behaviorally anchored rating scale. There are graphic rating scales. There are assessment centers. That means technical systems are there for evaluating the performance of the employees. So you need to really understand the technical part of the measurement of the performance of the employees. And somebody's asked, what is the highest position which the HR can achieve in the organization? I said, you can be the human resources director, you can be the chief people officer, you can be the vice president HR. So these are some of the higher positions in the HR field. And some of the questions, okay. Okay, so these are some of the questions, queries, and we can connect through mail for the remaining questions. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you so much, all of you. And we'll meet tomorrow again. And we'll focus upon EQ, happiness management, and appreciative inquiry in tomorrow's session. So thank you so much.